So with that, you know, what's it take to buy today? Well, one, perseverance. What we've seen with some clients is that they've come into the market, they've gotten discouraged, and then they've stepped out of it, only to come back, stepping into it going, oh my gosh, the prices went up, or oh my gosh, the interest rates changed. Sometimes that's for the better, sometimes that's for the worse on interest rates. But in general, like I said, since 2012, we've seen nothing but growth on housing prices. So perseverance, really deciding that you're going to take this step, is going to make a big difference for you. You got to be motivated. If there's not a reason for you to buy, or if you have competing motivations, that's also going to become a problem. We have a person we're working with right now that we're trying to vet out. Is she really thinking about moving out of the area versus looking here? Because it's going to be two very different things if she decides to go elsewhere. And we want to help her no matter what, whether it's helping her make that decision or in finding somebody for her in that other marketplace who can give her the same quality of service that we provide. So those are conversations we constantly have to have. And in a market like now, where people can work from home, we see people moving into a lot of different areas. But you got to understand where your motivations are. Is it about the price? Is it about the location? Is it that you need to better your space? A number of different things. Sorry, I got to move some of my stuff out of the way. Willingness to share your needs, concerns, and information. This is a process that really does need people to be transparent, right? Both the agent that you're working with should be transparent about how they work, what they do, why they're helping you make certain kinds of decisions. We need you as a consumer to give us, your needs, your concerns, and information that we have to have. And so that helps us, that number 4, good communication helps us to help you do the right things, whether it's write the right kind of offer, go after the right kind of property, making sure that there's full understanding as you go through some of the more complicated elements of a contract, because it can get gnarly sometimes, depending on who you're working with. And we often are having to do communication even outside of what we're having with you, because part of that is how we show property, how we deal with other listing agents, how we deal with the listing agent and their sellers, and all of the process as it works, the title and the escrow companies, all of it. Trust is absolutely imperative when you're working with the people that are going to help you with doing this, because we understand it's one of the largest assets you'll ever own. And we definitely take that into account and respect that. And you absolutely should trust whoever you're working with. One of the unfortunate things I learned when I first got in this industry was that consumer trust in real estate was actually pretty low. And they do, they do these different, kind of surveys out there every year about who are the most trusted jobs in America. And real estate's usually really low. 1, maybe 2 steps above used car salesman. And for good reason, because it's really easy for a lot of people to get into the industry. The level of skill is wildly all over the map. And there's oftentimes a lot of people who are in it for the wrong motivations. And after this is all done, by the way, we are going to send everybody a copy of the slides. And then also we're going to send out a survey with all of this. But, the questions that are in the list I'm going to give you are meant to help you determine whether or not you feel like you can trust a person. Because in my industry, a whole lot of people watch things like HGTV and decide, oh, that looks like fun, and they jump into it. Or the bigger motivation that happens all the time is that people watch things like $1 Million Listing and think they're going to make a ton of money. And so they jump into this industry with money as their first motivation. And you really should be looking for people who are willing to give you education, good advice, and guidance, and who really understand everything around how the business works, no matter what part of the country that you're in, because it's the same from state to state in terms of the qualities that you're looking for, but the laws might be slightly different, the contracts might be slightly different, but overall, it's generally the same. And you really need to have that trustworthiness with the person that you're working with. I mentioned time already. Really be looking deep on how much time you have to be looking online and how much you can get out and see places in person. Because as I have mentioned many a time, you can easily be catfished by a property. Someone can have great photos, or there are some companies out there who are doing little, online staging or little tweaks so that it looks better than it actually is. I was just at one of these houses the other week with one of my clients, and I literally had to ask her at one point, because her parents are helping her buy. I was like, is your dad going to be mad if I help you buy this house? Because it was in that bad a condition. But she fell in love with it because it reminded her of her grandma. I can thankfully say that we did not put an offer in on that place, because I felt like we'd been completely catfished, because we went back and looked at the photos and it definitely looked way better in photos. But yeah, getting out in person is important, and we'll give you some tips along the way about what some of that is. But when we're in a hyper market like this, there are some trends that start to happen. Ability, again, really mostly determined by your financials and the lending process. And then also clarity about all of this and realizing that it's a honing or narrowing down of this process. On in the market, if you jump into things without understanding how it impacts you, if you don't have your financing set up correctly, it can definitely come back and bite you in the butt, and in sometimes ways that you really don't want. So we're going to start kind of diving into all of these different elements.